There's been so much energy coming in with this new moon. It's intense, and it's now almost 8 o'clock on Sunday night, and it's like, whoa. The fresh new energy of today's new moon is like definitely feels like a new start and a blank slate. However, it does come with a lot of like that high hertz frequency solar flare energy coming in. So if you're a little bit tired tonight like me, then you're not alone. It's kind of nice to dip my toe back into the cosmic wisdom updates because I've taken a whole month sabbatical off, which I often take in spring and fall, a little bit heavier in the spring. And it's a really nice time for me to just take a step away, make sure I'm always working from a flow state. I find that getting out of that like grind of just working to survive and working period, working to thrive, is really good because it allows like the creative mind to ignite again. It allows the heart to speak a little bit louder to you because you get kind of freedom from that everyday routine. And it's been really lovely. So it's April 27th. I'm almost at the end of my little sabbatical. I didn't want to let this new moon go by because it was painful not to be able to support you guys in the first new moon and full moon of the year. But here we are. Let's just take a look at where we're at in the year. So on March 29th, we had the very first new moon of the 13 moon calendar year. So every year has 13 moons in it, which we're starting a new year. So we'll start working together again to continue understanding our cycles. So we're here right now. So we're at the new moon in Taurus today. Okay. So we've already had the first new moon of the year, and that was the new moon in Aries back on March 29th. So then, of course, in there we had a full moon, right? Because this goes every 2 weeks. So first week is the new moon, second week of the month is the full moon. And then we go back to new moon. And then after this, I just have the new moons here because it's the start of each month. But basically, we're here at the second moon of the calendar year. So if I were to draw this out on my iPad, what I'm about to do, we've got the lunar calendar year. It kind of starts here and it ascends up to summer solstice, descends down to fall equinox, and then by winter solstice we're deep kind of in the underworld, right? So this would be spring, summer, fall, and deep winter. So when we have the first new moon of the year, which we just had March 21st, we're starting at this brand new starting point here. Okay. And then you can see all of the energy between the first moon in Aries and that first moon that starts off at summer solstice. We are ascending. So we have all of this energy and momentum. This is very similar to like a plant sprouting, right? So when we're in the winter, which we just came out of, there's the ground, there's snow on the ground, right? And the little bulb is under there kind of soaking up nutrients and reserving its energy in the underworld, right? When we're wintering. So this is the bulb. And then by the time we get to spring, so there's kind of this ascension energy happening where it's gaining nutrients, it's being fortified, it's like in that cocoon space, preserving energy. And then as the soil starts to the snow evaporates and the soil starts to thaw. Well, I guess snow melts. Some of it evaporates. It does both. Then we get that moment where the little sprout pushes out of the earth. Okay. So from this point, from the little sprout, to summer when we're in full bloom, we're on this growth trajectory or ascension. Okay. And then we know from summer solstice until fall when we harvest. How do I draw that? I don't know. This is a plant and we're going to pick it. Okay. I'll work on that drawing. Harvest. There's this decline. Okay. So obviously we don't pick it when it's at its peak. We let it hit optimal ripeness, I should say, or fall perfectly from the branch. And then we harvest that and we've got our bounty. Okay. So you guys can remember from this past year of Cosmic Wisdom Circles that we're walking through this cycle every month, and the moons and the cycles of the moons reflect that. So where we were at on March 29th, when we had that first new moon in Aries, it was basically Aries is that cardinal fire. It's that spark of energy. So I always describe the three phases: cardinal, fixed, and I was going to say eternal. It works, but the actual word is mutable. Where when it comes to the fire signs, we have that initial spark that sets things on fire. So it's this burst of energy, and that's Aries energy. So similar to, like a sprout reaching that sprouting point out of the ground, or a baby bird chipping that hole to break through that egg takes a lot of energy. Right? So we came into more energy, more fire, definitely in the sky as well at the time of that solar eclipse, that new moon. There was a lot of energy in these fire signs, and we started to feel again after a deep winter. I mean, this past winter we had Mars retrograde, and then we had Venus retrograde, and Mars was retrograde all winter, and it went all the way backwards in the sky. We also had Mercury retrograde, and a lot of just going inward energy, right? So there was a lot of like, don't necessarily take action, don't start new projects, just use this time to do, a lot of deep healing happened over the winter. Deep interpersonal codependencies, partnerships, relationships, and our innermost intense feelings and emotions, because that's Cancer. It's the water sign, right? And so there was a lot of healing, a lot of personal work, a lot of shadow work taking place over the winter. So by the time the end of March came around, we definitely felt that shift into the fire element. Okay, maybe it's time for me to take action a little bit. Mars was not in retrograde anymore. Okay, we had it moving forward. And we actually, I won't get to that yet. That will confuse things. But here we were at the beginning, starting to burst out of our egg, or starting to sprout out of that soil. Okay. Now, where we're at right now, so we have the Taurus new moon right now, is once we have that initial, so we've started the new project, right? Or we have this burst of energy. You can also think of this as, I've done so much healing over the winter. Who am I now? Let me spark that flame, get some energy moving in the world, put my ego, put my ambition, my will out there just a little bit to test the waters. And then it's like very much a slow down from that spark of fire in Aries to fixed earth in Taurus. Okay. So Taurus is the bull. That's the sign for Taurus. It's fixed earth. Okay. So fix is that middle modality. It's long lasting. Commitment, loyal, long-term, making a long-term plan, stubborn, responsible, reliable. It's a bull, right? If you don't want to move it, it's not going to move. It's stubborn. If you're in its way, you better watch out, because it's got a plan and it's not going to move for you. Also very independent, okay? Head down, working on their long-term goals. And it's an earth sign. So this is where we get the practicality, the reliability, wanting to work on tangible things, tangible results, material world. That's Taurus. And so you can see how we've gone from this spark of fire that started a new energy. This is okay. What I'm getting is the new you. It's the soul you. It is the souled you. Okay. So see how we've gone from just you, which was a very human, to the soul you, to the in-souled you. All of this light, all of this work you're doing, it is all embodiment. What does that mean? That means that we are a human. Okay. Waking up, living on earth, being like, what the heck? This place is crazy our whole life. Okay. Turned off, unconscious. But at a certain point, we start to wake up. We start to open up. Okay. And we start to bring that light energy, which is the light of our soul, inside of us. We start to radiate out that higher vibration, that higher frequency. So we aren't any longer looking outside of us for that higher soul perspective. We're not seeking answers. We are opening up and we are bringing that embodiment into our body so that we can radiate as that walking ascended master, descended master on earth. Right? So if you're listening to this and you're like, not me, or I'm still in the shit or whatever, no, this is happening for everyone. If you've been so much in it, if you've been in your feelings, if you've been feeling your stuff and you've been healing and it's been hurting and you've been maybe at like rock bottom or dark night of a soul. I have too. We all have. Everyone I talk to has. I bump into friends on the street. I chat with people. I have people reaching out with me. This is why I share, so that you know that you're not alone. We've all been going through it. Okay. So if you've been going through that, know that that's really great, because in your body, as that original human, you carry all of this density. Okay. All of this density, all of these little dark, dense spots. And as that light comes in, it's reflecting, it's hitting this density, and that density does not want to stay in the body anymore. And so we've been doing so much beautiful work all winter, all of us, when we are feeling all of the hard things, to create space in our body. Okay, so we're creating all of this space so that, guess what, it can be filled with light. What is light? It's the wisdom, it's the knowledge of your soul's remembrance, of your soul's essence, of your soul's being coming back to you now. So have all shifted into such a beautiful new ensouled, embodied version of us. That's what we're here to do in this lifetime, is to wake up, right? Wake up to the awareness of that embodiment, and to do our work and see the stuff and feel the things so that we can radiate more. So now that we've gone through this spark, this eternal flame that's been ignited in us, of like, this is the new ensouled you after a winter of like such deep healing and such deep introspective work, Taurus comes in as the next sign. And remember, every time we flip into a new sign, which happens every month, there's a drastic shift of energy. It changes modality, it changes masculine, feminine, and it changes elements. So we go from that spark of fire to fixed earth. Those two could not be any more different. So you have the one friend that's like, I don't care, let's just do it. Let's just go. We don't need to plan. Let's just go and let's like run there. And the Taurus is like, whoa, wait, like I might be ready to do something maybe in 2 years when I've saved up. Like, you need to slow down. So what we have is this very complementary energy with the Taurus coming in. Say, okay, you've felt into that new you, right? And now let's get practical about it. What does that really mean to you, your life, your sense of self, and your self-worth? And you need to build a solid foundation for yourself. So when we come into like building our original foundation in our life, this second house happens when we're like 2 to 4 years old, when we really build that foundational self-love, self-worth, and that sets us up for like how we're building those things out and materializing them outside of ourselves in our life going forward. So this is really like based on how much we've shifted and how much of a changeable year 2024 has been, how much we've cleaned up and gone through this winter. This is really, okay, the new you has emerged, that butterfly moment. The butterfly moment, the new you has emerged. Okay. Now you need to consciously rebuild a better, more solid, more light infused foundation. So we're going all the way back to the beginning and we're going, okay, here's what you have been dealing with your whole life. So me, I'm 38 years old, right? And up until this point, my foundation has been built on all of the things that have been conditioned into me, the beliefs, how I was resourced as a child, my confidence, my self-love, my nurturing, all of that up until this winter when everything wanted to be seen, right? And called in my life. So from this point forward, this is where I went through the process, and this is for everyone. I'm just using myself as an example of crumbling all of those foundational things, and certainly things outside of you that aren't aligned with this higher frequency on the other side, we're going to fall away. Right. So now on the other side of that I've felt into, again, this new butterfly, this ensouled version of me that's emerged after this winter. What is my foundation going to be? How am I building a solid foundation based on where I'm at now? And that's what Taurus is here to teach us. So with a Taurus new moon, okay, with a new moon, it's a fresh start. Remember, the moon is empty. It's dark. It's a dark moon. And that means that there's no energy yet, right? It's kind of like a blank slate. It's empty. As it starts to fill with light or reflect more light, then we get more energy. And that's when we get to a full moon. But when it's a new moon, then we want to look at this Taurus archetype and we want to go, okay, how do I use this fresh opportunity to look at my foundation and set and become very intentional about, based on who I am now, how do I want my foundation to, how do I want to start building my foundation? What material do I want to be building it out of, right? So let's see, look, let me just go up here. Yep. So Taurus is responsible, grounded, and determined. And Taurus also has to do with yourself, in your inherent self-worth, your inherent right to exist and thrive without having to survive and hustle and suffer, right? And it's also your self-love and your ability to receive. So there's 12 signs in the zodiac. Taurus is the only one that's a pure receiver. So people that are strong Tauruses, they're good at receiving. I talk about Tauruses often as being the ones that look good, smell good. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in a really beautiful space in the sky right now. It is glowing. She just came out of the underworld where she went down to, again, it went retrograde. So we had this inward look at like, who am I? What's my love language? How does that shift? How do I show up? How can I put my heart first? Because our Venus is always there whispering to us, wanting us to act in that direction, but of course everything else gets in the way, right? And so she's been in the underworld kind of like reclaiming who she is, and now she's come out and she's shining bright and brilliant. And it's a really supportive energy to be alongside this new moon, because the new moon is also ruled by Venus, being that Taurus is ruled by Venus, right? So we want to look at who we are, who we've become, and how we would say go back. This is an interesting kind of experiment that you can do. Thought experiment is to go back. Okay, what did I not have when I was at that age, 2 to 4 years old, when my core self-worth was being conditioned into me and my self-value? And you look at everything like, what was the house like that you grew up in? Were your parents out resourcing you, feeding those resources back into the house? So like groceries, did you have delicious food? Was it junk food? Did you develop an eating issue because of it? Are you addicted to sugars and sweets as a way to self-soothe yourself? Do you have beautiful organic food, which taught you that you deserve to feel good in your body, right? There's also like the bed that you slept on, the sports that you played, the amount of yeah, just the way that your needs were taken care of, right? Were you comfortable with someone making you food? Were you eating? It's all of those core things that set us up to be like, yeah, I'm well taken care of here. Okay. So if you had parents that were very busy, working very hard, maybe they were resourcing the house, so you had all your needs were met, and maybe they were met very well, but maybe they were working so hard that they weren't paying attention to you. They weren't asking you questions. They weren't making you feel, mentally important or stimulated. This could be the whole gamut of things, and it's unique to each one of us. So it's impossible for me to go through all the examples. But what you can do is you can travel back in time to your life at that age and go, what was the situation? What were mom and dad like? How was I resourced? What was the home like? Did I feel safe? Did I feel worthy? Did it feel like money came in easily to the house? Or was there always a fear of like a lack around? So what you want to do now is you want to say, okay, I know this new version of me. I've been doing the work, right? I'm very self-aware, and I know what I want this next cycle to look like for me. So based on that, how do I build the best foundation for myself? And that's going to be your new moon intention. Okay. So basically, like how this works is we have this new moon in Taurus today, and then in 2 weeks we have a full moon, and that means that the moon is in the complete opposite sign. So it's going to be shining on all of those things which are opposite to, or that break your foundation, or find that make it hard for you to have that foundational security. And this is the journey that we take as we move through this 13-month lunar cycle, right? So we're right at the beginning. You guys can tell I'm getting tired, but it's like I have that energy to go, but my like eyes are getting sleepy, and I'm like fading out here. I'm excited though. It's that new moon energy. There's a lot of like this high frequency energy that's coming in, like wants us to feel empowered, wants us to know that we have made it, we have shifted. There's been a massive frequency shift on Earth, and everyone is there. Like we've all done it. The work is done. The biggest message that I can give people right now, especially because it is new moon in Taurus, it's not about like, putting your head down, nose to the grindstone, hustling and pushing out work. And it's like rest and receivership. The more you learn to receive, the more abundant you will be at the end of the day, because what you're working on when you're at rest is your inherent right to receive, to tap into the truth of this earth that we're living on, is that it is inherently abundant, and we don't have to go hustling or grinding for our abundance. It comes to us much more efficiently when we rest and we learn to magnetize that abundance towards us, right? So abundance is definitely a big theme with the Taurus new moon also, though. So you might want to also think like, what's got to give here? How can I let go of a lot of the effort I'm putting in, learn to magnetize more and be much more efficient in my output and much more abundant in my receivership. Okay, and my magnetization. Something interesting that you can do as we approach the full moon is you can say, okay, I'm going to call in, I'm going to magnetize that which I want and just see how much I can be at rest and not take action and see what comes to me when I'm very intentional about that. And what will happen as you do that is you'll really clearly see what is blocking you from that as we approach this full moon in Scorpio. Okay, coming up in 2 weeks. So let's just take a look at the chart here, and I'll probably tune off after that. I wanted this to be short and sweet, but I also have so much to say, and I'm also just really excited to connect with everyone again. But yeah, so let's look at this chart here. We have the new moon and Taurus chart. So with a new moon, always we want to see the sun and the moon at the same degree. So this one's at that 7-degree point in Taurus, sun and moon at the same degree. Okay. So, yeah, that's it. That's the new moon in Taurus. Now let's look at what else is going on around that. Okay. So we still have energy in Aries. So there is a good amount of fire in the sky still. We have Chiron, and this Chiron is our wound. And this is speaking to our wounds collectively for sure. And also triggering our inward move, our inward wound as well. So we want to continue on the theme of putting ourselves first and really keeping our blinders on. This is constantly basically there as a symbol in the sky, reminding you that if you haven't mastered being healthily self-directed and really doing what's best for you, being sovereign and taking action based on what you know to be true for you, this is big, like authenticity, which was a huge theme in March and April. I would say April because it's the end of April now. A huge theme this past month in April, authenticity. That new moon in Aries was really calling us into authentic behavior. And then the full moon that preceded in Libra was like, hey, where are you still wearing your masks? Now we have the wound saying continue being true to yourself, and it might be painful, it might hurt, it might be a bit uncomfortable because we've been used to putting other people first, but we want to keep on with that trend that's been going for a few years now with that. And then we have Mercury and Neptune both in Aries. So still lots of fire in the sky, lots of like sacred direction, that ensoulment, that spark of energy. This literally like looks like our DNA is lighting up. It's coming online. We are being sparked with that eternal flame. It makes me excited to say that. And I'm just saying it as it comes to me, but you know, I can feel the high voltage energy tingling in my brain right now. That means it's working in our whole body, throughout all of our cells. You can picture each cell in our body is coming online with this spark of light coming into it. And that's that tingling. And that's also that fiery energy, especially with Neptune, which is a big outer planet moving into Aries because it's been in Pisces for quite a long time now, like 20 years or so. So we've got all this fire in the sky, in addition to this new moon in that grounded earth energy. Okay, so despite the, so we have the spark of fire and energy, okay, and that is definitely happening. It's spring. We're on this upward momentum until summer. The days are longer. There's more sunlight. There's more activity happening. Great. Yes. And the moon is also just slowing us down as well. So it's really helping to bring us into balance. So it's like, feel the excitement, but breathe and slow down. Hold that balance. It's like the true yin yang. And that's what this next month will be about when we're in Taurus season. It's like, hold up, like progress your growth is only as, what is this saying? Like, only as strong as your foundation is, right? Like, you can only build as high as your roots go down deep. And that's Taurus energy. So it's like, don't move too fast. Take it slow. Any progress is good progress. Because I keep telling people, like, if you're feeling craziness and if you're in it, because there's a lot of this like expansion and contraction energy right now. It's like sometimes I feel this high energy and everything's moving up and we've shifted and I just feel wonderful and everything's beautiful. And then the next minute something comes in, the energy gets too much, you're triggered by something, and it's just like, whoop, there's this contraction. And people are really feeling like they're on this roller coaster, or they're like going down into a lower vibration and they should be in a higher vibration. And I really don't like talking like that, because it makes it seem like we're bad if we're low and we're good if we're high. It's an expansion. And sometimes we get to feel that expanded excitement. And then other times we have to pull in and go, okay, like, let me learn to calibrate this in my body. And that's what Taurus season is about. It's like, hey, this is what I want to do. So let me pull in and make sure it's aligned with who I am now. This is where I want to take off. And this is where I can see the vision. Okay, now let me pull that in and go, is this vision aligned with the rest that I've learned is really important for me or healthy for me, for example? So it's this honor the expansion and the contractions. And know that if you're feeling that, if you're on that roller coaster, we all are right now, and we need to get used to being comfortable with expanding and then calibrating that expansion, and then expanding more and then calibrating it, because this, like I said, this isn't going to taper off. It's just going to be more and more and more and more. And that's why we need to learn to receive more, deal with the fallout of it, the density coming up, calibrate, breathe, and then expand again. Calibrate, expand. Okay. So that's the theme of this next month with that Taurus new moon. So we have all the fire in the sky, but then we still have these planets. Wait, I snuffed out Venus there, which I don't want to do. So we have the fire portion, and then we have all this beautiful watery energy. So this is in Pisces. Here we have Venus, Saturn, and of course the North Node. Now we just entered into an 18-month eclipse cycle with the North Node in Pisces and the South Node over here in Virgo. Okay. Virgo, basically, like, okay, the North Node, South Node dynamic for the next year and a half is like that song just started playing in my head, Jesus Take the Wheel by Carrie Underwood. That's big time Virgo Pisces energy, surrendering your human control and handing it over to a divine pattern. We're going to need so much of that in the next couple of years, because things are shifting and changing like crazy. What you think you have, and that's going on for you at the beginning of this eclipse cycle, in 2 years will be just unintelligible in your life. So it's a real surrender, learning to surrender. All these planets are at the latter degree points in that Pisces energy. And so it's very much like mastery, wisdom. It's this feeling of these planets are here to support us. Venus is just, just such a gracious energy, right? Venus is already that 5D vibration. It is that fullest, most loving expression. And so Venus is here really supporting us coming into that divine surrender and rest and trust in the universe. And it's right next to Saturn saying, no, seriously, you need to do this very diligently. You need to make this your duty, your responsibility. It's kind of like you're not going to be able to get off the hook, because Saturn is always there holding a standard, always holding down this kind of like, structure and box of discipline standards. So it's basically with these planets in the North Node being in Pisces, which is surrender to your spirit, understanding that we are going through a shift and there's no reversal and there's no kind of like lying to ourselves anymore. So many layers of the veil have been ripped aside. It's getting harder and harder to suppress that voice of your soul inside of you. The heart wants to lead now. That's what this shift is ushering us into, always, is the heart leading over the mind. So in the places, Virgo, South Node, where you really are letting the mind control and manipulate and feel like it has, like its own method to this madness outside of us, Saturn is kind of there going, like, that's not the case anymore. So I don't want to say it's going to make you pay, because that sounds like very malicious and bad. But, there's this combination of Venus saying you are supported. This is real. And then there's Saturn saying, and you better believe it. No, just kidding. Saturn is saying, now you have a responsibility to follow through and really trust your heart. Like, surrender means surrendered action, right? It's not just like a nebulous theoretical thing that you know to be true. It's now like, put this into action in your life and live as that master. Live your truth. Don't just be a person that meditates or reads the books and brings in the knowledge. Be a wise human being walking on this earth in a surrendered way, in a heart forward way. And with the North Node there for a couple years or a year and a half, it's going to be, that is the case. That's what we're all collectively mastering for the next little while. So we're already getting like a preview of that now, and this wonderful support by Venus, but also like we're kind of being held to the flame with Saturn there as well. Okay. Whew, baby. Okay. So, let me just tune into some like straight up Taurus type intentions that I can feed to you. As with a new moon, we always like to create our intentions. I love to write them out on paper. I love to use really positive language when I speak to or when I write out my intentions, to really invoke that emotional, those feelings with it. And you can even create a beautiful grid, like a crystal grid on top of your kind of written intentions. You can go into nature. I love to create an earth mandala. So, take your intentions out, kind of like whisper them into some flowers and some rocks, and have the earth keepers there holding your intentions, and build a beautiful earth mandala on top of it. And just let that energy infuse, let that work for you out in nature. Very, very Taurus to be connected to the earth like that. So let me just take a moment here to connect into some intentions or some kind of useful, beneficial symbology. So the Taurus, the bull, the cow has always been a very sacred symbol in esoteric astrology. And it's the mother's milk ultimately, right? Like, from the cow, we receive that milk, that kind of nectar of life that feeds us when we are just landed on earth, when we are just learning to survive and thrive. So it's this Taurus really is like the eternal mother. It's the it's funny. It's like the udder that we can always suckle from. It's this idea that like that nurturing protective force is always there and will always like feed us that which we need to survive and live. It's mother's milk. It's very sacred. And that's why in India, for example, cows are sacred animals, because they contain this mother's milk. And the Milky Way galaxy, also named after and has a lot of lore of this Taurus constellation, being that like river of life. So Just like I said, go all the way back to when your childhood at this age. Maybe you want to go even deeper than that and connect into that kind of cosmic force of trust and being fed. It's like the Amrita, it's the nectar of the gods. It's what is our divine birthright, a very solid foundation, and people that are able to really beautifully like trust their path here, and live from a surrendered, safe place, have very strong second house or Taurus energy, because they know that life support is always there. It's always overflowing in your cup, right? And so going back to personally in your life, what happened at that agency? Okay, where was I missing out? And how am I setting my intentions now to consciously create my life and be intentional about my life and build this new foundation for this new version of me that's just blossomed based on what I need personally from my human experience thus far. And go even beyond that too and say, like, from a cosmic perspective, from a soul perspective, being on earth, like, what is this life really about here? Why did I come here? What do I need on an esoteric level, on a soul level, to really feel like I can thrive here? And that really comes into self-worth, right? It's like, are you happy with what you've done so far in your life? Are you fully embodied in the awareness and the truth that the work that you've done is perfect and you couldn't have ever done more, and you are contributing to a better planet, and you don't have to prove yourself to be worthwhile or to survive, and to survive abundantly? So it's a real deep dive. Like, you can go really deep with this, but go back to your childhood, yes, and recondition and set your intentions and work on those tangible things. Create your long-term plans, like map out your next year or so and do your best to like put your blinders on and say, I know this is something I want to be diligent. I want to be more disciplined about. That's great. And then also take it a step deeper and say, okay, but I'm here, I'm awake, I'm aware. And if I expand my perspective even more into this universal perspective, like, how safe do I feel? And how connected am I to that knowing that I really am able to surrender? I really am able to receive the abundance of this paradise planet that we're on and really enjoy being on Earth. Because the reality is that this lifetime on Earth for all of us is so special. It is a paradise planet. We are excited to be here. We're excited to eat the food and experience all of the pleasures, like Taurus is like physical pleasure, physical beauty. And how much have you been doing that? Can you do more of that this year? This is the Taurus new moon for the next 13 months. So it's your opportunity to treat yourself and set a precedence of treating yourself and taking care of yourself for a whole year, so that you build that, you take that step this year, and then next year you can build on it even more and even more as these Taurus new moons keep spiraling around. Whew, okay, I'm really proud of myself. I thought it would be like a 5 or 10 minute, and here we are an hour later, which is just typical of me. But I really do love this connection point, and it's a blessing to me to be able to offer and to have you all back and listening after a whole month off. I'm super grateful for it, and I'm looking forward to another year of cosmic wisdom. So we will chat soon, and happy new moon in Taurus, everyone.